Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Hello everyone, and welcome to the ASOTV podcast for Star Wars Rebels Season 3, Episode 5, Hera's Heroes. I'm your host, Cleo, and with me I have John and Sam. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Jeez, Episode 5. It feels like it's going fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the first season I'm watching, like, week by week.
Oh, right, yeah.
Last season I watched most of it. I binged watched most of it.
Yeah.
And I only had a few episodes I had to wait for. But now it's like every week I'm like, that was a half an hour. I want more.
I'm the same.
So
I'm not watching today, but I keep going back and going, ooh, okay. And can I just say they are showing no signs of slowing down. There's been like very, very good consistency, and I'm very impressed. But anyway.
Yeah. I agree. We start off and Cham, is that Syndulla?
Mm-hmm.
Is fleeing some troopers. And they say, he says, or the other woman says, the Empire is getting better at anticipating our moves. And I'm like, damn, Thrawn is behind this one.
Ooh, I didn't even
Well,
know
As soon as he said they're getting better at anticipating, I'm like,
that. Good call.
Somebody's
they
involved.
hired someone who thinks.
Who does their job. And I just love how the ghost, like, swoops in and, like, picks them up with their animals, just like, scoops them up.
Yep. Oh, I love that too.
It's so cute.
Hey, one of those things just, like, bit a land speeder. That was the freaking craziest thing ever.
And he threw it. He was like,
It's like,
whoa.
Yeah.
wow.
Like, get off me.
I want that for a pet.
I know, they're so cute. They remind me of little, like, rhinos or hippos or something like.
Yeah, they do.
They're like kind of squished dewbacks.
Yeah.
You just take a dewback and go. That's basically that.
Yeah.
What do they call them? Bacas or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I couldn't remember.
I totally missed it. Whatever they were called, I totally missed it.
Mm-hmm. I didn't write it down.
I don't know
either.
if I just made that up, but I may have. I don't know.
They have a funny sounding name.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Imperials came and took over their home. And it was sad. Tan Province, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Where the Syndulla family lived. Because it got blowed up.
Yeah. Oh my god. Well, I'm sure we'll get
Little.
to.
Oh yeah, that means
How?
only a
Oh my
little. But yeah, the one thing that can't be replaced is the piece of art that gets passed down through the families. And Hera, like, makes it her mission to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, it's my personal thing. And they're all like, don't be dumb, we're coming with you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, come on, man. Hera, you know us better than that.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
No, she's like, I put you all in jeopardy. This was too personal. But and also because the show, as it goes on, she's just like, no, you know what? Actually, at the end of the day, you guys are my family, etc., which is very true. So yeah, It's very nice, like, kind of representation of, like, there is that. Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but just how they are her family as well.
Yeah,
Members of the Ghost Hall. So
definitely.
anyway,
But she did say, like, to Kanan directly, like, I have you.
Yeah.
And I have the crew who are like my family. So I was like, you're gonna do it one day. It's gonna happen.
What's gonna happen?
Your mouths are gonna touch.
I think it's already happened. I think that's kind of the whole thing is like it's happened already, but it's like, oh, but they can't go back to it or something. That's what I get
I
the
know.
impression of. So we'll see.
I know.
John's gonna find
I
out.
have it here.
John will read it and report back
Yeah.
to us. My reading list
Yeah.
is too long right now to add the Star Wars books.
Yeah, so's mine.
But what was I gonna say? Oh, and it's like Hera never does like this kind of thing for herself, you know? Like everything for her is always revolves around the crew and the rebellion, and it's like Hera, you deserve a personal mission. Like it may not pay off in the end, but you deserve to go out and get something for yourself.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I felt like and Ezra, when they're both like captured, kind of brushes it off like, well, duh, we would do this for you. But yeah, and he, so I agree because she's like very, very selfless a lot of the time, especially when it comes to missions for the rebellion. So, yep, I agree. I was like, yeah, it's about time that she had to be a little bit selfish. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that was kind of uncomfortable for her. Really, I think that's why she was so resistant to it in the first place, because she's not very good at taking care of herself sometimes.
Yeah.
So, she's done some real dumb things to get them out of a jam that could have very easily killed her. Yeah. So it's kind of nice. And honestly, I think this is probably the first time Hera and Ezra have been like really together for any significant amount of time.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they really haven't. We haven't gotten a lot of just like them two interacting, other than like Hera kind of barking orders or whatever.
Well, literally not since the first couple of episodes of the whole show.
Yeah.
Because in the first couple of episodes, she was sort of like, taking him under her wing a little, because Kanan was kind of like, no, about it, and she was like, yes. But you're right. Yeah.
And then she was going to smush them together.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we got Captain Slavin, or Savan, I don't know, whatever his name was. He wasn't important. He sort of made Hera's house his headquarters. And I like the stormtrooper jumps in the ship, and they're like, "You didn't think this through, did you?" And he's just like, no. No.
That was funny, and then also Zeb asking Ezra, "Do you have this one, like the helmet?" And he's like, "Sorry."
No, I do not. Needs to be in my collection. I'm taking your clothes, and we're.
So I was like, okay, knocks out the scout trooper cold. I was like, that's funny.
I wonder what color.
I wonder what they did with him.
Oh,
I was wondering too. I was just like, what happened to this guy?
They took his clothes and dropped him out the.
Yeah, I was to say, have fun being naked in the desert.
Yeah. Maybe they left him one of the rhinos.
Maybe.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Ezra gets dressed up as a stormtrooper.
Scout
again.
trooper.
Scout trooper. I'm sorry. Scout trooper. I apologize. And Hera puts on the French accent, and they sneak in.
You?
I always think it's funny when she puts on that accent, because when we saw her father was it last season?
Oh yeah. See, personally, I thought that was so bad. I was like, I didn't understand. I was like, wait, she sounds different than the rest of her people, and then she just kind of accidentally fell back into her accent, like she had shed it somehow. I just felt like that was not. I felt like that was a little clumsily done. I got more used to it, but yeah, every time it kind of jars me personally still when I see her do that, and I'm like, okay. So I don't know. Anyway, that's just me. It's still jarring to me. I don't think it really quite works, but whatever.
Well, this episode she was clearly doing it on purpose, but
right. No,
yeah.
That it was okay, and I think that's why. Yeah, the last time she just kind of fell back into it, like she had been holding that in the whole time. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's like
that she's around father.
Well,
but like,
it's like
this time she deliberately put it on to fool them, and I was like, that's fine. So
it's like anyone who's got a second language. If you're speaking your second language, maybe you've got the accent of that second language down, but then when you get mad and start yelling, you slip back into.
Yeah. No, and that makes more sense, and I didn't really think about that too much. So there you go. Thank you.
Think of it this way: like, even I noticed it, like with my uncle who moved down south. When he comes back to New York to visit, he sounds a lot more New York than he does when he's home. You know what I mean? So, it your environment does kind of change that sort of thing. Because, if you grow up in New York and then you move to, like, Atlanta and then you come back to New York, you're going to start sounding like a New Yorker again. It's just sort of, and especially because, like, when she was, she was fighting with her dad at the time, so it's real easy to kind of drop the ruse and kind of go back to, like, your familiar tongue when you fought with your dad. Yeah. Which is probably when she was a little girl and still had her accent, and, it does make sense, I guess, but like you said, this time it was for subterfuge of sorts. Yeah. But it's always funny to hear her talk like that. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah. And I always just think it's funny because it's clearly a French accent, and I love it.
Listen, if you're space French, you are a Twi'lek. There's no way around it.
I was going to say.
Space Australia.
We haven't met the Space Australians yet.
Yet.
No. I don't know. Did Ula really sound like that when she was, like, shouting at Jabba? I don't know. I don't know that she was. Well, she was shouting in Huttese then, right? I guess not in her language. I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Go ahead.
No, not ahead of yourself. I don't remember.
I would assume that she would have been, but
I remember. Yeah. She was speaking the Hutt language.
She's shouting back at him while he's tugging at her. So, but I digress.
Yeah.
Tangent. Language tangent.
When they were fighting in the valley, like Sabine used, like, color bombs. Like, they weren't just explosives, but they, like, exploded in a bunch of different colors. It's just like, oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, that was cool. I thought that just that little bit of them holding them off, like when they were fighting the troopers and stuff like that. I like that little scuffle. I just thought that was well done.
You saw Kanan fight again. That was awesome.
Ooh, which I have something to say about that, but it has to do with the end. I was going, so I'll wait.
No, yeah, you don't have to wait. We jump around. It's fine. We can talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I thought that was quite good at the very, very end, the way they had got it. And Hera had made her decision, made her peace with what they were going to do to escape. And then that was ultimately at the end, Kanan, like, deflected the blasters, but then he, like, made it go right back in their face, and I was like, oh! Because he was the last one down on the ramp of the ship as they're taking off, and I'm like, he's going to deflect this and send that thing right back, isn't he? And that's exactly what he did, and he did it perfectly, and he's like, see ya! I was like, that was so good!
Yeah.
He deflected the rocket and blew it like this!
And he's getting more powerful, feeling more confident in himself and within the Force, and he just deflected it right back, as a Jedi would, because they use it to just deflect. And I was like, oh, that was so good.
Yeah, well, it's nice seeing Kanan back in action like that.
And honestly, like you said, I think he's fighting better than he ever has. Like, he was just like, whatever.
He's like,
Yeah. And there was like
you could tell he was not even trying.
Yeah, there was an ease to the way he fought. Kind of like, it reminds me a little of Obi-Wan. Where, like, sometimes Obi-Wan, when he fights, it just, there's, like, this grace and ease about it. And that's what Kanan had this episode.
Definitely.
Yeah, he was having fun.
Yeah.
Can I just say, too, with Chopper, that was great.
Oh.
That was so good.
Yeah.
That robot PTSD.
Exactly what Hera asked him to do, but he was like, he gets up to the bombs, he's like giggling. I'm like, oh,
yeah, he was giggling.
He giggled
with the bombs.
Kind of great. I love
it. I was watching with subtitles, and the subtitles had in parentheses excited grunting, and I was just like,
That's what it was.
He's like,
I'm like, that is so perfect.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
laughing loud. I
I
was like,
mean,
this is great.
meanwhile, he's having flashbacks, looking at the Y-wing he crashed in. The poor little guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, that-
So
yeah.
I will say
Mhm.
that him having PTSD explains why he's such a high functioning sociopath.
Indeed, totally. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Sure.
There's your reason why he's
Oh yeah.
That makes
That's why
so
he's
much
shocked.
sense, actually.
Arr,
He's
arr,
such a
arr.
little jerk at the time. That makes a lot of sense,
Yeah.
actually.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I also like how he just kind of also just was able to boop get them out of there. He got, they could have all escaped at that moment, but Hera's like, no, we gotta wait a second, we gotta go through with this, make them think they've gotten to do the exchange. So he could have gotten them out there right there and then. So I thought that was cool too. It's like, all right, we can get out of here now. So
And
I was
that's-
like, yes, Chopper.
That's something where I'm very proud of Hera, because Hera met Thrawn. Hera heard Thrawn say, you got to know your enemy, all this stuff. She heard his whole spiel, and then she's like, no, this guy's too smart for us to just escape. Let's do this whole thing. And that's in the end why Thrawn is like, let them go, they earned their victory.
Yeah, it's okay. But at the same time, he scared me because he's like, I just learned something, which is probably
Yes.
like they'll come to each other's aid no matter what. So he's like,
Mhm.
yeah, all I have to do is like pull at the threads and I'll be able to do what I want. So I'm like, oh no. But I thought that was cool too. And I was like, that was, and can I just say, and like, I'm sure we're going to talk about more about like him, that scene, which was great. But like, he says her name a little bit different too. I loved that.
Mhm. Hera.
Like Sendula, he says like Sendula, like he was
Yeah.
very, very specific about that. And I really liked that. And I was like, oh my god, oh, I'm scared. So yeah, I thought that was great. Anyway,
So my thing is that obviously that whole scene was amazing, but I like that one they kind of set Hera and Thrawn up as like rivals for this season.
Yeah.
Like that's her. Like Kanan and Ezra had like their spat with the Inquisitors, and like now Hera has her own villain to deal with,
Mhm.
sort of. So I'm hoping they first become engaged in a battle of wits, and then become engaged in a battle of blasters,
Lasers.
in that order. But I feel like because Thrawn was like you said, he's like, let them have this one. They earned it. I think they surprised him. Quite frankly, I don't think he saw that coming. So my thought was that like Thrawn sees the rebels, and probably the rebels see the rebels as like the Ghost Crew is kind of like the head of the spear, sort of, for the rebels goings on like the Outer Rim right now.
Mhm.
They're kind of like the showy, like sort of iconic characters for like not just the show, but like for the other rebels that they work with, right?
Mhm.
So Thrawn doesn't want to stop the head of the spear. He wants to destroy the shaft of the spear, so the spear can't fly anymore. You know what I mean? So like, the Ghost Crew's not the be-all, end-all for him. He's trying to dismantle a rebellion. So you can't just like kill the mascot and say like, well, done.
Yeah.
Well,
that's also why he let Phoenix Home go, because he knew Phoenix Home was not the whole thing.
No, if anything, they're kind of small beans compared to, they're kind of like a scouting force. If anything, they're nothing. Phoenix Squadron is very small, and they keep going to wings like they're
getting smaller by the day.
Yep.
Golly. So I feel like it's not just that he's gonna. Obviously he's going to exploit their love for each other, but I feel like he's also wants to let them lead him to the rest of the rebels in a way.
Yeah. No, it's true. If he lets them play it all out, he'll get to the more significant players within the rebellion, and that's ultimately what they want. So that's what they hired him for, to take it down from the inside out. So he'll figure it out. No, I totally agree with that. I'm definitely like, oh no, he's gonna figure it out.
It's not going to be good, because you saw at the end, like Cham and and Hera, Cham and Kanan were talking. They were like, we outwitted them again. They can't seem to basically just saying they don't know their asses from their elbows. But
yeah, but meanwhile, Thrawn's sitting back there going like, I let you go, so.
And I'm going, they're kind of resting. The the Ghost Crew is like resting on their laurels a little too much.
But right now they are.
Yeah, and and you were. I think, John, you said that Thrawn was surprised at the fact that Hera would blow up her home. And I mean, I think he was a little bit disappointed in himself for not seeing that coming, because she did say, "I would have rather destroyed my artifact than have it sit on your mantle." And he was like, "Oh, do you think so little of it?" And it's like, no, she thinks so highly of it that she would rather destroy it than give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I guess he just wanted to see how far she'd go.
Yeah.
And he did. We also heard him actually raise his voice this time.
Ooh, can we talk about that? Because I fucking loved that.
That was really good, too. That was another thing I thought was done very, very well. So I was like, whoa! So.
Yeah, for Salvin disrespecting the Twi'lek artifact, I wrote down how to say it somewhere. Maybe I didn't write it down.
I forgot to.
It starts with a K.
Yeah, I just watched this. I feel really embarrassed that I can't remember.
I know, I watched it right before we started.
Anyway.
So.
I know, right? We're the worst.
Yeah, I know.
We're not actually. Yeah, he grabs him by the collar and sort of yells at him, like as much as.
Well, he gets right in his face and he kind of threatens him, and then he kind of stops and realizes what he's doing, which was interesting for various reasons. But more than anything, it's like, yes, he has a line that can be crossed and he can become very vicious. So can only imagine what would be like if he got on his bad side. So he is dangerous and volatile himself. So, like any villain, just the point at which you can kind of push him that far to become like that. But obviously he's not, he's like holding it all back. So that's also more dangerous. But even though in the 3 seconds that he did that, I was kind of like, whoa. I was like, oh, he has some rage there, and that'll make him like a scary foe down the line. So, but I thought they did it really well because he kind of realizes what he's done. But it just, for a quick second, you get an insight to the fact that there is this boiling underneath, and that he's not, even as much as he's like a composed strategist and he's almost very arrogant about everything, there are buttons to be pressed. So I thought it was done very well. So I was like, ooh, I can only imagine what we're gonna see down the line with that. Oh, yeah. So
he doesn't tolerate ignorance. Like, Salvin was very like, oh, these inferior Twi'leks, whatever, blah blah blah, and Thrawn is very respectful. He understands their culture.
He's like, you sound like an idiot. Just please shut up, kind of thing. So, because he understands the bigger issue at hand, and so.
And he definitely seems like the kind of, I don't want to call him conqueror, but like the conqueror that would preserve the culture he just stampedes over. You know what I mean? Like, right. He would take over a place. And,
I mean, we can. We're making an assumption here, but within the Empire, I'm sure that it is prejudice, so it's a force of evil. Maybe not, but ultimately I get the impression that him being who he is and the species that he is, he had to work very hard to get where he is, and probably people discount him for that alone. Probably. So he's had to deal with prejudice himself, and almost, in a way, doesn't tolerate, but then at the same time, he uses it to his advantage when it comes to people, to enemies and what have you. So he's like, if you're going to use that as, kind of a sore spot for me, then I can use that to other people that I see. So
yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but that's definitely a logical step.
I don't know that we've seen any other Imperial officers that are that high up in the ranks that are not human. So
or humanoid. I don't know
what he's supposed to be. So I should know that, but I don't know. So they might even go into that later on.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm trying to think.
They're all like white dudes.
Yeah, and a couple of really tough ass bitches.
Yeah,
but I think
there's a couple of women, so there is that. So it's kind of something.
Well, which I think is why Thrawn and Pike, whatever her name is. I
Yes.
keep
Yeah.
forgetting. I think that's why she's like, they sort of like got each other's backs because in a white man's game,
Yeah.
like they
Mm-hmm.
are like they recognize each other's power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and I think, you know, apart from Thrawn, you know, being someone who's interested, like, I mean, obviously he's all about knowledge. He wants to just know everything about everyone. And part of that, you know, part of knowing your enemy is also is appreciating your enemy, which is, I believe, the lesson he was trying to teach his young ward at the time of screaming in his face. You know, in addition to obviously, like you guys were saying, like preserving culture and things like that. But, you know, no information is not valuable to him. I mean, he would, you know, whatever he could take, you know, he wants to know about somebody, you know. So for someone to dismiss that, you know, you would think that, you know, people, it seems like, you know, not just that he's faced prejudice within the Imperial ranks, because there's not very much of a doubt in my mind that, you know, in the sea of humans that the Imperials are, that he's faced some kind of, you know, prejudice. But I feel like perhaps maybe he was also judged for his love of learning. You know, maybe that wasn't something that was so important to his family or life or something like that, you know, because it just seemed to really like strike more of a nerve than like, oh, you're ignorant to me. I don't know if I'm reading that wrong, but it kind of struck a nerve of like, you're actually offending the core of my being, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know, and I could be wrong about that, but I feel like, well, we'll probably find out in his book anyway.
Yeah. I think on a deeper level for him too, it's like, not just like whatever's tied up with that specifically, but he's sitting there thinking like, well, if you're going to be smart about how you're going to interact or defeat an enemy, you can't just look down so far down your nose at them and then expect that you're always going to come out on top, because that's being too, even though he's arrogant about the way he carries himself and his strategies, which he can be because he thinks things through very thoroughly and that's what he's good at. But he doesn't have it with this air of like, oh, you're so beneath me, like, you know, which is the Empire's big mistake. And ultimately their huge mistake with everything is that they discount the, you know, resistance, the resilience of the rebellion, and that winds up putting them in trouble.
Yeah.
So he's not discounting that one bit, and I think he's thinking, you guys can't do that. That's how you're going to lose, ultimately. But what you do need to do is be more ruthless and kind of, you know, use those pressure points to your advantage, where the fact that they do have hearts and they care. We don't, and we don't have to care. So, but yeah, the fact that it's even just, you can't be so blind to the fact that these people are like, you know, you have to really embrace anything and just be smarter than just looking down your nose down like, oh, you're but a mere thing on my boot, kind of thing. You can't think like that.
And not for nothing, he's got to know he's dealing with two Jedi. Like, you know, like, not for nothing. It's like, you can't mess around, man. Like, they can take us apart. Like, Kanan and Ezra, I mean, he got a lucky shot on Ezra, but Ezra just, like, mind tricked him and, like, he was like, just poop your pants or whatever.
Well, Thrawn knew he was going to reach for his gun.
Well, no,
the only reason, Thrawn knew before it happened.
Yeah, Thrawn's a fast shot.
And I was like, no, in about 2 seconds when he, like, well, first of all, I was like, well, and I really, again, that scene was incredible, but he was like, I'm like, first of all, he's smart enough to know at this point that that's her, because the picture, who she is, he knows all about her, so I thought that was
she was wearing her commander badge.
I felt like that was really good. I was like, oh god, I was like, he knows exactly who she is.
Yeah, it's clearly
makes sense to me.
Clearly wearing a pilot outfit.
Well, no, and he didn't, and not for a second was he ever discounting who she was, and just, he genuinely was like, no, I have a real opportunity here to talk to her, and/or I have someone valuable to the rebellion right here in my hands, and I can see what she's about to do, and I can see how she's going to play this thing out, and then I can see her behavior, and then know that for next time. But at least for Ezra specifically, as soon as he figures out who she is, he just immediately was like, "What?" I was like, oh, I knew he was going to do that. I knew he knew at that point, and I was like, and again, that's what makes him a good villain, is knowing like that. So, and yeah, no, that whole scene was really very well done. I was like, oh my god. But at that point, it was also very interesting because I'm like, he's not going to hurt her because she's valuable, and he knows that. So I felt like kind of in ease too. But then I was just like, oh crap, this cannot bode well for later on.
Definitely not.
Well, yeah, because he was in complete control of the situation, and if he wanted to, he could have done whatever he wanted to them. But
they kind of played into what he wanted them to do to see what they were going to do, so that he could then use that later against them. I'm going, oh, that's
yeah, I mean, ultimately he won.
Mm-hmm.
So he's scary. I mean, I don't know. I think he's probably so far.
It's interesting too because you brought it up too, John, about like he's got to know about the dealing with Jedi. I have no doubt in my mind that he knows that. Number one, number two, weren't they very specific about when they first brought him up that the Emperor specifically had promoted him? Emperor knows, so he wouldn't have given him such a job if he knew he couldn't handle, possible Force users popping up.
Yeah.
So I don't doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
He's like, this is the right guy for the job. So here you go.
And he's not going to be handling them himself, obviously.
No, but
and I don't think we're going to see Vader again on this show, honestly, unless like the Rebels go looking for him for some reason. But
I don't think either.
Because Vader's right now, he's kind of busy doing other stuff. Screaming at people about his son or some bullshit. I don't know.
Yeah, or something.
But I'm like, is there who's dealing with Kanan and Ezra? I'm like, my first thought was like, oh, there's probably Inquisitors 1 through 4 that he has at his disposal. But my other thought was, what if he just pits them against each other? What if he finds out about what's going on with the wall and is like, oh, really? There's some tension between the two boys, huh? That was my thought. It's like he's just going to be like, okay, well, this will handle the Jedi.
We don't know at what point Maul is going to come into play, but like if ever there's a time where, so right now it feels like that'll always be a separate thing, but he could come into play at any point, and Thrawn could use that against them totally. It's like Maul is threatening to become the rift between Ezra and Kanan because Ezra is kind of like flirting with the dark side, and Kanan's like, removing himself because of what happened. He needs to be right there, right in the middle of everything, making sure he's watching Ezra, because otherwise we will have a problem. So, and whether or not Thrawn figures out at any given point that all this is going on, not just between the rift between them, the two of them, which, yes, you're right, he could use that against them, or he finds out about Maul and he can play that game. He can play him as a chess piece. We don't know.
But I think Kanan being on top of Ezra is also in itself dangerous. Because smothering him and being like, this is what you need to do is, like, not the way to go. And
no,
I mean,
it's not the way to go, but, initially in the first few episodes, the whole part of the issue we could see was that Ezra felt abandoned, so he can't just go off and mope, like, kind of thing. Which I think he's getting over that, so that's good. But you're right, smothering him is not good either, because look what happened with Anakin and Obi-Wan. Not good. That's, no good. So, So we'll just have to see how well. But I think the good thing that makes Kanan a step ahead already, and this is how he became knighted, is in the previous season he let go of the idea that he cannot control that situation. He just has to do the best he can with what he has. So, and just knowing that, he's got to just remember that. But in the moment, if it came down to it, do I think he would really logically remember that? I don't know. He'd be so desperately upset, so I don't know. We'll see.
I just realized I don't have Obi-Wan.
No.
I'm going to have to fix that.
Oh,
Soon.
Master Kenobi.
Anyway. Man. There was just such a sappy ending, too. Where they're all sitting around clinking glasses. Like, yeah! Family!
I know. I was like, "Oh, that was adorable," but and I got really weird. I was like, doom is impending."
Yeah. Well, and
for various reasons.
I know Hera like outsmarted Thrawn, but I really hope that she just sees that it's still he's still going to be a very big problem. No.
I think
She does.
I think so. The only thing for Hera though is that I feel like she's smart that way because she can be cunning as well. But I think, I don't know that she thinks of the big picture as much. But at the same time, of all the people not to make that mistake, it would be her not to make that mistake and for her to realize before it's too late. So I'm hoping that she'll catch it. So we'll see.
Be good.
So next episode is the last battle. On a salvage mission led by Captain Rex, the Ghost Crew is captured by a unit of old battle droids determined to fight one last battle to end the Clone Wars. Just when I thought I was far away from the Roger Roger jokes.
So
I like that.
Since they're coming back.
I still
So
like Roger. It's funny.
I don't think you guys have seen it, but there was a little extra preview clip that they put up for this episode. And poor Rex is having some PTSD flashbacks from the war.
I'm deliberately not watching it because it feels.
Yeah, it's sad. It's but it's cool. I'm kind of glad they're doing this sort of thing. Like we honestly, weirdly enough, saw it with goddamn Chopper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
We've seen
though it's going to be like.
We've seen it twice with Chopper. No, it's okay. We've seen it twice with Chopper because when they were stealing the Y-wings, he didn't want to go on.
Yeah, he didn't like it.
Yeah. And I don't know if we said this on screen during that episode. I think I might have forgotten it. But yeah, he didn't want to get in the X-wing. Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't like Y-wings. And of course, because he almost got killed in one. So. Yeah. I like that they're kind of doing that and showing the reality of what war does to people and apparently sociopathic droids.
And, yeah. And I know a lot of people are worried that the last battle is, Rex's exit, like Rex might die. But John showed me this lovely picture.
I was gonna say, no need to worry because don't worry, he's going to Return of the Jedi. It's all good.
He makes it to Endor.
And
it's like, don't worry.
Dave Filoni said that himself, which is hilarious. He's like, no.
That's canon now. The end.
Yeah.
He knows it.
I love
it's
it.
Fine. He just retconned it. It's all good. It's fine. It's okay.
Like that's Rex. He's right there. He's fine.
Right there. It's all good.
As soon as I saw this picture, I was like, oh yeah, that's Rex. There he is.
Yep.
Still at it.
So yeah, I just when I was looking up, the synopsis for this, I looked it up before I even watched Hera's episode, and someone just had this big image that said Rex is gonna die, and I'm like, no, no, don't say that to me. I'm not cool with that. But
He's not gonna die. He's just gonna go through some shit.
Yeah. But now that I've seen very, very old man Rex, I'm confident he's not going to die.
He'll be fine. He's fine.
Yeah. And I mean, we saw a lot of that kind of soldier shit in Clone Wars, especially with Fives. Like that arc. Yeah. I was probably in tears. 'Cause I loved Five so much, and his spiral out of control was just so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And so I listen. I have so many clone trooper feels from that show.
Yeah, they do a really good job with them. I like it a lot. Yeah.
So no doubt next episode's gonna be feelsy. And we have Schwarzer Blitz in the comments again from last podcast we did. He was talking about the academy, the Sky Striker Academy. Their flying units were meant for training, so we were saying that the bomber had the extra seat because it was meant for training. Sky Striker is a Top Gun academy with the purpose to train elite pilots, and only after this they send graduated pilots on to different stations, Star Destroyers, and etc.
Okay.
Dave said that it was important for the Empire to break your mind, make you a living weapon inside a TIE cockpit. For you to hesitate like Sabine or Wedge would, otherwise you'd be killed and the Empire would lose their cannon fodder. So they wanted to make their pilots not second guess themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that they would shoot first and survive. So they could keep shooting things.
Mm-hmm. Shoot more bullets.
Yep. Yeah, and it's going back to Thrawn, man. He's very scary. Like his voice too, the way he speaks. Yeah. I just found myself going, whoo, as he was talking in this episode, and I'm not looking forward to when the Ghost crew gets their first loss against Thrawn, because it's going to be devastating.
Yeah, it's not going to be pretty.
Thrawn's first win is going to be gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting worried because they're like, oh, it's okay. Oh, it's all right. I'm like, oh, he's not going to keep away.
You know who I think it's going to be?
Don't tell
I think it's going to be Commander Sato.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. That guy's got "I'm gonna die" written all over his forehead.
Oh no, Sato.
But I think Hera's gonna take over his spot. So that was my guess.
Yep.
Well, I mean that was also Cham's reaction to go, leading himself to death. He's like, Hera will take my place. It's no problem. Everyone has full confidence in Hera because Hera's badass. So her taking command is logical.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have anything else to say about this episode?
I don't think so. I think we covered all of the everything that I was, But again, like I said, I think the pacing for every episode, I will just say, nothing is slowed down. I think the pacing has been great. Every episode has been very interesting. And also, everybody has kind of gotten their own individualized episode focusing on them already, with the exception of Zeb, actually. Because even this one had a little bit more background story for Chopper, but everybody's gotten a kind of a story focusing on them and having them look deep within themselves already. Everybody's gotten at least one of those episodes already, so I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Zeb's episode was like 2 before the finale last season, so it was recently that Zeb got attention.
Well, he could still potentially get one.
Oh yeah, of course.
So far, they've literally gone through everybody already at this point, so I think that's kind of cool. Yeah. So yeah.
All right, John, where can the people find you?
You can find me playing with my toys at No More on Twitter.
Toys! I too have toys. Oh god, I dropped Ezra.
Oh no! Oh, there we go.
Here we go. Sam, where can they find you?
Y'all can find me on Like Leia. You can see down at the bottom of the screen at Twitter, Instagram.
You can find me at Cleomoto on places like Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. You can find all of us on ASOTV Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, Google+, and right here on YouTube. Follow us for some more podcasts from some of your favorite TV shows, video games, and movies. Until next time. Bye, guys. I can't wait for Rogue One. We were just talking about it at the party the other day, and I can't wait.
The trailer looks really good.
Mm-hmm.